Joining us now is Mubashar Hassan from Australia, a human rights defender and researcher, as well as an author of Narratives of Bangladesh. So Mubashar, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you've written extensively on Bangladesh and on the political narratives in the country. So I want to ask you, how significant is this election for democratic resilience itself, not just in the country, but as we are talking about that entire region across South Asia? What precedent does it set?
So it is a very significant election. It is going to be underpinning the power of democratic resilience of Bangladeshi people against the creeping and brutal authoritarian government of Sheikh Hasina, which was toppled by the people. But, for the past year and a half, the country was under interim government led by Dr. Yunus, and we have seen generally he was able to stable the country, but at the same time there were troubling news that came out of the country, including mob violence as well as persecution of religious minorities. So this election is going to, I'm hoping, going to steer Bangladesh towards more stable government, and stability matters in the region because if Bangladeshis are big in the sense of its population, is 170 million people. So if something happens in the country, or if there is a prolonged instability, that instability spill over the border, and in the bigger region as well. People could move out of the country, not only to India, many other places. So that is why I think there is so much international attention around this election. And the power of the election is that voters are being able to appreciate the opportunity of choosing who they want to elect. And from that perspective, it is nominally empowering for the citizens as well.
Absolutely. Now, the interim government that you just mentioned has faced enormous challenges in managing this transition. From your research, what are the most critical structural reforms needed in order to ensure the democratic opening doesn't close again?
Look, to start with, what this interim government didn't do is that it didn't put reform of intelligence agencies such as military intelligence, DGFI, or national security intelligence, as well as the Rapid Action Battalion. These agencies were at the forefront of human rights violation during Sheikh Hasina's government. They acted with full impunity. They forcefully disappeared Bangladeshi citizens, extrajudicially killed them, and framed them in false cases. And there were media reports that came out that many agents who work in these intelligence agencies under Sheikh Hasina period acted as a hired gunman as well. So if we do not, or if Bangladeshi government does not make it priority to reform these intelligence agencies and make them accountable to the parliament, I do not see there is much hope of Bangladesh going to a robust democracy. Because structurally, these agencies are positioned in a manner that they would only be reporting to the prime minister. And but by that design, if the prime minister, any prime minister, use them, abuse them, and they also in this process, some of the agents become powerful. So that is number one structural challenge that Dr. Muhammad Yunus didn't address at all. But the good side of it, that there is now public discussion, and even there are discussion from within the military that these agencies need to be need to be placed in a manner so that they are held accountable in future. And the second structural challenge is the slow movement of the bureaucracy and the politicization of bureaucracy. Over the past 15 or 16 years, Bangladeshi bureaucracy was highly politicized. So I don't know how the next government is going to address this, but we have seen Dr. Mohammad Yunus has had struggled to put Bangladeshi democracy in a manner so that it worked in a faster process. Reforming bureaucracy as well as the police are going to be the bigger challenges for the next government, which Dr. Yunus couldn't address properly.
Speaking of reforms, we're hearing a lot about the July Charter and constitutional reforms precisely. Can you explain what's at stake with today's referendum and how it relates to the broader structural power questions Bangladesh, that what they're dealing with internally?
Look, I'm not a big fan of July Charter. The reason, again, is that if you do not address the elephant in the room, which is the reform of these powerful agencies, this July Charter would mean absolutely nothing in the future. But anyway, this government framed the July Charter in a manner that underpins that there would be more checks and balances in the parliament. There would be more proportional representation from all parties in decision making, and the political government would face some questions and cannot take the decision by itself, especially the crucial decision. So those are part of the reform agenda, and this July Charter, I argue all the time, this July Charter is in a way betrayal to the spirit of the July uprising, because we have seen how security and intelligence agencies were out there and killed Bangladeshi protesters, and they have been doing it for 15 years. So if you do not address those agencies, and if you do not bring reform to those agencies, I don't know how this July Charter is going to work. And that is why there are a lot of debate within the Bangladeshi citizens about whether this July Charter addresses the real challenges, or whether it is a shortcut way to cut the power of civilian government that will be forming after this election.
Yes, absolutely. And last, before we let you go, looking at Bangladesh's evolving foreign relations, we want to know how this is going to be impacting particularly India, China, and the West. How might this democratic transition reshape the country's geopolitical positioning in the entire region, in your opinion?
So I'll start with China. It seems to me, China is a player that plays a long game. In previous government, China did support extensively the previous government. The Sheikh Hasina's one of the major slogan was development over democracy, and China was part of that. But at the same time, it was silent in domestic political affairs, which India was not. So to Bangladeshis, China is not a problem, even though China invested probably more than India in Sheikh Hasina's government. So I see China is a pragmatic player, which is playing a long game. India, on the other hand, spent all of its cards and put all of his eggs on Sheikh Hasina's basket, and now it is almost friendless. But again, within the relation in Bangladesh-India relationship, geography will matter, and that geography so far at the moment is permanent, as it seems. So
Yeah.
any Bangladesh government who will come into power will need to work with India in a cordial manner, but probably not in the way Hasina dealt with India. Hasina was kind of the poodle of India, but I don't think whoever comes into power next is going to be like that. But they would also need to make sure India doesn't feel threatened from about its security.
For whoever comes in.
And finally, the West
Yes, thank you so much.
would
Important
be
context to understand everything that's happening. We thank you so much. Again, that's author Mubashar Hassan for joining us and putting everything into